Start a discussion. We would like to know what the difference is between political disagreement and political instability. Where do we draw the line? When does opposing someone else's views become uncivil? Because we believe that disagreement is at the heart of a healthy democracy. So when do behaviors and actions and words become uncivil? Yes.
I'd say it's along the same lines as the difference between a discussion and an argument. And I think a lot of people set different standards for that depending on what atmosphere they're in. Sometimes, if you have a discussion with somebody about sports, about politics, about numerous things, and at a certain point it devolves from being a discussion to an argument. Like I said, the standard is different. Some people think it's when you start yelling that it becomes the argument. Some people, when you try to tune someone out, it becomes the argument. But it's the same conversation that we're having about the civility in politics. It happens at the lowest levels of discussion.
I think you have to respect the opinion. You can disagree with it because you're not coming from the same place. But essentially, I say I don't respect your opinion. You would take that personally. You'd be like, I don't disagree. That's a different place where you're coming from. And I think everyone's so focused on trying to convince someone to believe the same thing as me that when they have a different viewpoint, we think it's irrational. So that's why I think when I say, oh, I don't respect your opinion, you think it's irrational, and that's why you think, oh, yeah, I don't respect it. But disagreeing shows that, you know what, I don't see where I have a different perspective from where I'm coming from my history, from my background. And that's something different. I think if we stop trying to convince each other or making each other seem irrational, having certain beliefs, I think then it will be more progress in how we talk to each other.
I think start to get heated in a debate because they feel personally attacked. And I think it's important to, when you're having a discussion with someone, not to take their opinions about an issue as an attack on your personal beliefs, because I think that happens all too often.
So I think that this goes beyond the bounds of just us engaging in debate, but I think that we need to ask more of the outlets where we get our information, because obviously they heard that somewhere, and there are news outlets and there are political pundits who are saying things like that. I mean, you can turn on the TV and you can still even hear, people who are, you can be on the other side, but is it necessary to call our president like Hitler? We need to, especially as youth, we're talking about how, and I've seen it in our own campuses, we have different beliefs, but this turns this kind of argument turns everybody off, especially within our demographic. So I think that we need to demand more of those people who we get our information from, because if we are getting better information, then people are going to be better informed, and you're going to have better argument that's actually based on the issues, and then you have an easier way of not getting personal, because you have actual.
There are clear signs that political instability, when representatives are, really nasty to each other and saying horrible things or attacking each other personally, rather than arguing about policies, that political trust is adversely affected.
It's a gridlock, and it's so hard to get anything done, and I think that that right there should show us that we're so lucky that we're the next generation that's coming through, because maybe that's what they're used to, and they think that kind of partisanship is okay, but I think that this kind of discussion is how we get past it, but through the whole nation, and it's kind of hard to spread. But I would say that our whole generation kind of wants to have that there. Obviously we can have different opinions, but that when we're the people that are in Congress and it's our generation, we should be able to compromise and come together. So I think that maybe you can't have an overnight fix, but just the fact that we're talking about it here, I think is showing that this is how we do go past it.
In the media, the shows that have the highest ratings are the ones that have the most yelling. If you look back to Joe Wilson, when he yelled, "You lie" at the president, his opponent raised within 24 hours over $1 million, and he raised within 24 hours over $1 million. Because he yelled, "You lie," his opponent immediately released some pretty vicious counterstatements, and they both immediately had these massive money bombs come in. In just about every sphere, there is a distinct profit motivation to be uncivil, simply because that sells things.
We had Tom Daschle come down to UF and talk to us about partisanship, and his solution was you have to get rid of the caucus system that's currently in place because you have the Republicans in their caucus and the Democrats in their caucus, and it becomes an us versus them scenario, and it's just no compromise because you're motivated every week at these caucus meetings, and it's just hit into your head, this is the agenda, this is what you pass. And once you get that group mindset, the group think, it becomes very hard to separate from that.
I think the change to it. Maybe like the whole point is to have a common ground. So people who are so avid about their views, it's changed how much they believe in that. Instead of going just for that, the common good is the most important thing, and that's what our generation can do. That's our plan, is to go from individualness and individuality to teamwork, sorry, but like just having the balance.
Well,